Hi, Math 2 students. So today we're going to go over 5.6. So first we're going to get started on the 5.6 warm-up. So this kind of reviews what we learned in 5.5, which were the different kinds of angles and their relationships when you have two parallel lines. So let's go ahead and look at number 1. So we're looking at this angle here and this angle here. So before we even get started, let's identify what kinds of angles we have here. Do we have, alternate interior, alternate exterior? Look at your angle summary note sheet and figure out what kinds of angles we have going on here. So hopefully you came up with corresponding angles. All right, so these are corresponding angles, which if you see your note sheet, when you've got two parallel lines, they are congruent. So with that information, I want you to go ahead and solve for x. So since we know that they are congruent, we can set these two equal to each other. Add 4. You should get x is 15. Very cool. All right, so let's go ahead and try number 2. So take a look. We've got these two angles here. What is the relationship here? Look at your note sheet. See if you could tell me what the relationship is. So these guys are going to be alternate interior angles, all right? And according to our note sheet, alternate interior angles are congruent if we've got parallel lines, which we do. So go ahead and solve for x. So you should have gotten 4x minus 2 equals 3x plus 40. We're going to bring the 3x over. Get x minus 2 equals 40. Plus 2, we get x equals 42. All right, very nice. So let's go ahead and try the next one. So again, these should be on your note sheets. What kind of angles do we have going on here? I'll give you a hint. That should help you out. So these are vertical angles. So with that piece of information, I guess we should say we know that vertical angles are congruent. So go ahead and solve for x. So you should get, let's see, we get 3x minus 1 equals 35. Sorry, I'm running out of space. Oh no. We get 3x equals 36 divided by 3. You should get that x equals 12. All right. I don't really know if we could label these as a special angle pair, looking at number 4. But we can apply a theorem that we know, and we have a remote angle, and an exterior. All right. So we know that the two remote angles should add up to equal the exterior angle. So go ahead and solve for x. So you should get that x plus 12 plus x plus 9 equals 4x plus 3. You get 2x plus 21 equals 4x plus 3. And let's see, I'm going to bring the 2x over here. You could have solved this differently, but this is how I want to do it. Minus 3. You get 18 equals 2x. Should get that x equals 9. All right, last pair here. So let's take a look. What is the relationship of these angles? So look at your angle note sheet, your summary sheet. What is the relationship of these guys? So you should have gotten same side interior. And according to our note sheet, they are supplementary. So go ahead and solve for x. So to set this up, you should do 2x plus 3 plus x minus 9. Oops. Equals 180 because they're supplementary. You'd get 3x minus 6 equals 180. Add 6, we get 3x equals 186. Divided by 3. And you should get x is 62. Very nice. All right, so that was our warm-up. Hopefully that was pretty familiar. Now let's go ahead and jump into the lesson for today. So it's proving lines parallel. And it goes through all these rules. It's basically you start off with two lines and they're cut by a transversal. All right, so you got a line here and a line here. And basically what you're trying to do is prove that they're parallel. So those are our two lines. This is our transversal. And we're like, okay, are these parallel? It says alternate interior angles are congruent, then the lines are parallel. So we know that alternate interior would be like these guys. So if we had two lines cut by a transversal and we show that the alternate interior angles are congruent, they're parallel. Same thing with alternate exterior angles. So if we had two alternate exterior angles, we show that those are congruent. We can say that the lines are parallel. Corresponding angles. So let's say we proved these two guys congruent. We could say that these two lines are parallel. Corresponding, so then we have same side interior. So basically it's kind of the opposite. Before we were given, we were told, okay, these are parallel, now figure out these angles. Now they're saying, okay, are these lines parallel? And they give you information about the angles. All right. So basically if you end up with, these special angle pairs being congruent or supplementary or what have you, you can prove that the lines are parallel. Okay. So for example 1, it says, which lines, if any, must be parallel if angle 1 is congruent to angle 2? Justify your answer. So they say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. So if we're looking here, well, that would mean that we could say that these guys are parallel because they're cut by this transversal. And we would have congruent angles that are alternate interior, right? And if we look, alternate interior angles are congruent, then the lines are parallel. So we could say that, let's see, MA is parallel to HT. All right. Then we have more stuff here. It says, which lines, if any, must be parallel if 2 and 3 are supplementary? So we've got 2 and we got 3. All right. So these guys end up being same side exterior. So if you look at your note sheet, same side exterior are supplementary if you have parallel lines, right? And if we look, that would make these lines parallel because then this guy is the transversal. All right? So that would make AT parallel to MH. All right, very nice. So now for example 2, it says, are lines A and B parallel? Explain. So if we look at the angles they gave us, these are going to be same side interior. And we know that same side interior angles for parallel lines would need to be supplementary. Okay? So the question is, are these supplementary? Well, that would mean that they need to add up to equal 180. Does 32 plus 148 equal 180? And it actually does. So that means that they are supplementary. So that means that A is parallel to B. So I guess you could also say like, yes, they are. All right, perfect. So now let's go ahead and look at B here. Now this is an interesting one, right? We do have vertical angles, which is great. But if you notice, we have absolutely no information on A, right? We know we got obviously vertical angles here, but if you look at your note sheet, vertical angles, right, it says they actually, you can even look on your notes. I wrote does not need to be parallel. You don't need parallel lines to have vertical angles. So we don't necessarily know if A and B are parallel, but we could say there is not enough information. Right? So we can't prove that they're parallel. Very nice. All right. Oh, sorry. I should probably give you a second to write that down, shouldn't I? All right. So next one. It says, find the value of the variable that would make these lines parallel. Justify your answer. So now they're saying, okay, well, we want them to be parallel. We want to show, yes, these are parallel. What would make that true? Well, if we look, we've got two kinds of angles here. These are corresponding. All right. And corresponding angles are congruent. So I should say they are congruent when you've got parallel lines. So if we want M and L to be parallel, we're going to have to set these equal to each other. So we'll say 2x plus 6 equals 40. Minus 6, we get 2x equals 34. And we would get x equals 17. Right? 434 divided by 2. Yes. Very nice. And I guess our justify was right. If corresponding angles need to be congruent, if they're parallel, that was our justification. All right, so what kind of angles do we have going on here? What relationship is this? So look at your note sheet, figure it out. So for this guy, we should have gotten same side interior. And the relationship then is that they are supplementary. Of course, if they're parallel, and we want them to be parallel. So we're going to make them supplementary. So we'll say 7x minus 8 plus 62 equals 180. 62 minus 8 is going to give us a nice 54. Subtract the 54. We get 7x equals, let's see, 180 minus 54. It's going to give us 126. Divide that by 7, and you get x equals 18. All right, so we're going to go ahead. We'll skip C. Don't worry about that. We'll go ahead and we will move on to example 4. It says, using the information, which lines, if any, can you conclude are parallel? Justify each conclusion with a theorem or postulate. So if they tell us that 2 is supplementary to 3, all right, that tells us that our parallel lines would be A and B, because that's our transversal right there. And we would have the same side interior. So we'd say A, whoa. So we could say A is parallel to B. And really the reason for that would be same side interior angles. All right. And you could say, you could go further, like if we were concerned about proofs, that's something you do in geometry. You have to be very specific. You'd have to say, same side interior angles are supplementary, and therefore angle A would be parallel to angle B. We could just say same side interior. I'm cool with that. All right, so now let's see. They tell us that 10 and 6 add up to 180. So you got this guy and this guy. So that means that M and L would be parallel because A is the transversal. And that's going to be the same thing, same side interior. So we could say, or I'm sorry, did I say, yeah, L and M. I don't know if I said that. So that would mean that L is perpendicular or perpendicular. Oh my God. Whoa. L is parallel to M. And that would again be same side interior. Sorry, I don't know, I'm misspeaking so much. All right, probably because it's almost 9 o'clock. So we've got angle 9 is congruent to angle 1. So that again is going to show these guys as parallel. So we'd say L is parallel to angle M. And that's going to be because they are corresponding. All right, so now let's look. It says angle 4 is congruent to 11. All right, so that would mean, actually, we don't have to do that one because that would actually imply that all of them are, it's okay, we don't got to do that one. And let's see if we had 1 and 3. Let's do 1 and 3. I think 4 and 11 is a little bit confusing. So let's go ahead and take a look at 4 and 3. Or, oh my God, 1 and 3. All right, so if I told you that 1 and 3 are congruent, which two lines can you tell me are parallel? So 1 and 3 are congruent. Which two lines are parallel? So you could say that lines A and B are parallel. So A is parallel to B. And the reason for that is going to be because you have corresponding sides or corresponding angles. Right? You got corresponding angles congruent. Very nice. All right. Let's go ahead and move on here. For example 5, it says, are lines A and B parallel? Well, let's see. We've got these guys. This is our transversal. Okay. So first off, let's think about, well, what's the relationship here? What's the relationship between these two angles? And that's going to be alternate interior. All right, and we know that alternate interior angles are supposed to be congruent if the lines are parallel. These appear to be congruent, so yes, they are. And again, that's because of alternate interior. All right, let's take a look at B. So we want to know if these are parallel. First off, what kind of angles do we have going on here? So you should get same side interior. All right, same side interior are supposed to be supplementary. Are these angles supplementary? No. So if they are not supplementary, that means that A is not parallel to B. All right, because same side interior angles are supposed to be supplementary. These clearly are not supplementary. They're the same. What's 85 plus 85? Doesn't equal 180. That's not what we're looking for here. So we end up with the angle, or the lines are not going to be parallel. All right, so next it says find the value of the variable that would make the lines given, lines parallel. That's okay. The lines given parallel. I was like, am I going crazy? We could cross that out. So the lines given parallel. All right. So looking at this one, we have like a, same side exterior situation going on here. So we know that same side exterior angles are supposed to be supplementary. So go ahead and solve for x. So you should do 4x plus 10 plus 110 equals 180 because they're supplementary, right? And you get 4x plus 120 equals 180 minus 120. And you get 60. Should get x is 15. All right, let's take a look at this. If we want these to be parallel, We have to figure out, well, are they supplementary or congruent? These two angles I just drew in, should they be supplementary or should they be congruent? They should be congruent. Oh, I just misspelled that. G-R-U-E-N-T. They're supposed to be congruent because we have alternate interior. All right. An alternate interior angle should be congruent, so we will set them equal to each other. 14 plus 3x equals 5x minus 66. So let's do minus 3x. Minus 3x, we get 14 equals 2x minus 66. Let's add 66. And 14 plus 66 is going to give us 80. And we should get x equals 40. All right, so I want you to try to figure this one out. Well, if we want A and B to be parallel, what would x have to be? So if we want A and B to be parallel, we would have to, these angles would have to be supplementary, right? We have same side interior angles should be supplementary, so we're going to add them up, set them equal to 180. 180 minus 12 is 168. And you should get x is 21. All right, good job. I know this video was tough, but you did a good job. Take care.